many years, thousands of years. And we are producing wines in a very important region of Italy called Toscana. Tuscany is hot like here in the summer, really, but dry. And it's rolling hills. You know, when you watch movies about Italy, that's usually like, it's either Venice or Rome or Tuscany. And I'll show you a video here of our estate. It's the largest estate, privately owned estate in Italy, the 7th largest privately owned estate. It is 2,830 hectares. You have to consider 1 hectare is like 1 football stadium. 1 international football stadium is 1 hectare. So it's a very large project. Not only producing wines, we only dedicated 1/3 of it for wine production. The other is forest, olive groves, plums. We grow plums to make prune. We represent 15% of the total production for Italy. So we're an agricultural company. We're into agricultural products. But wine is our main bread and butter. It's what we do. So here is a video. Now it doesn't work. The name is Banfi. Rolling hills. To make wine, we need grapes. There's 11th century castle. Surrounding the castle are the vineyards. We have 350 people working at Banfi. We're one of the most important producers in Italy, and family owned. On the estate, you also have a hotel. Very small, 14 suites, but premium. 1 Michelin star restaurant. Wine, enoteque, and all-day dining, La Taverna. We produce balsamic vinegar as well. We have a balsameria. You know, one bottle takes 12 years to make. 12 years. We are seen as a premium brand. These are the rooms. So very traditional, very Tuscan. Those lagoons there are water reservoirs because we're a sustainable producer. And this is where the wine is sleeping. That's our all-day dining. These are our fermentation tanks. And that wine on the left, this is one of the wines that you will taste, and it's our flagship wine. It is what makes Banfi famous. Okay. All right. I'm going to skip some PowerPoint presentations because there's a lot here, but I'm just going to go straight to what is important. I mean, everything's important. We were started in 1978. Banfi, before Banfi existed, it was 3 wineries. Poggio alle Mura, you don't have to remember all these names. Poggio alle Mura, Camigliano, and Argiano were 3 wineries. You have to remember the village of Montalcino. This is the name of a village in the southern part of Tuscany. I'll show you a map in a minute. Was one of the most poor villages in Tuscany. Very poor. In the 1970s. So a lot of producers wanted to sell their land. You know, taking care of land is a lot of work. It's very labor intensive. It's very hard. You have to rely on Mother Nature. It's tough. So they sold the land, and John Mariani, the founder of Banfi, had a vision and said, I think this area will become one of the most famous areas in the world. He bought 2,830 hectares. That's a lot. You have to consider today the most premium land in this village. 1 hectare is 1 million euros for making grapes. Yeah. Back then it wasn't that, but it built that. Back then they had about 25 producers. Today we have 250 producers. So it's become famous because of the wine industry. And I'll explain to you a little bit more about that later on. So it's owned by one lady today, Cristina Mariani, the 3rd generation family. She's the owner. That's it. One owner, one lady. Yeah? Listen, who's married here? Nobody? Everybody single here? Wow.
Married here.
He's getting married on Saturday. But all I know in my family, the boss is not me, the boss is my wife, right? So remember that. But yeah, it's nice to have, you know, this industry is dominated by a lot of men. It's nice to have a breath of fresh air, to have a woman in there, and it's tough. So we have to fight even harder than others. But Cristina Mariani is the owner, that's it. Our wine that's famous is this one called Brunello. You know, in the wine world, there are, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000 different styles of wine, different in terms of producers. There are millions of producers in the world, in the wine world. But there are only certain regions or areas that have become very famous because of the wine. Bordeaux, for example, some of the Grand Cru classés in Bordeaux, you might have heard words of Margaux, Saint-Emilion. You know, these are some words when you hear it, you're like, it must be top end. Amarone in Italy, maybe you heard of this. Super Tuscans in Tuscany, but Brunello. People that buy this kind of wine, they know what they're buying because they've heard of it. And Banfi is that brand that created this demand. So that's why the title is Builders of Brunello, builders of this specific wine. Now there are many producers that make this wine, but Banfi is the main pioneer to create that demand. That is why we are distributed in 110 countries in the world today. So, where are we? Due to budget constraints, I don't have the other half of the map. No. So, you know the map of Italy carries on with the heel. And then you have Sicily there. But maybe if I turn the TV like this so you can get it longer. But this is central Italy. Rome is right here. Rome is there. Tuscany is here. Piedmont is here. France is there. There's a sea called Tyrrhenian Sea here. And then it's the Mediterranean Sea. You see this picture of all the buildings that you have here, it's like the Italian Riviera. It's Cinque Terre, Portofino. So that's over here. That's around here. Right there. So this is the area where we're producing our wines, these two regions. Now, why? Why in two different regions? Why not just have one region? Well, when you're making wine, what do you need to make wine? Grape. Grape. You need a grape, right? Now, there are many different kind of grapes. Like Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Shiraz. Not all those grapes can grow in the same location because you need different soil, you need different climate, you need different rain, you need whatever. Same thing like any kind of agricultural product, yeah? Most of the vegetables, or let's use an easy one. Most of the flowers in Vietnam come from what area of Vietnam?
Dalat.
Dalat. What's that famous brand? Hasbro? No,
Sabah.
No, what's the famous brand for flowers? Is it? I forgot. Dalat though, right?
Dalat, yeah.
Dalat is where we grow flowers. Why? I don't grow flowers, but I assume because the weather is perfect, because there's enough rain.
Plants.
There's the what?
Plant.
The plants there, yeah. The peep, huh?
I have no idea. No.
I don't
Just
know. Well, I'm assuming that there's rain, there's the right soil, there's also the right knowledge, the know-how. People know how to grow flowers. I've tried growing flowers on my balcony and they have always died. Why? Because I don't know how to grow flowers. But in Dalat, they know how to do it. The same thing when it comes to grapes. The area is very important. That's why when you have wines in Europe, we only give you the geography, the area. It says Bordeaux wine. What is in Bordeaux wine? Well, if you know what grape is growing in the Bordeaux region, then you can assume that there is that kind of grape inside the bottle. In Europe, we like to confuse people. And in Italy, even more so. The Australians is easy. They said, Barossa Valley, Shiraz. More simple, but once you start drinking old world wine or European wine, you need to know the geography. So it's good. So I'm always learning. This industry always learning. Sustainability. What is sustainability? This is the key word today. In Marcom, in a lot of hotel property, in a lot of international brands, they talk about sustainability. What do you think is What pops to your head when we say sustainability? Anyone? There's no right and wrong answer. No one's going to get fired if you say sun or what is sustainability?
Yes, we make profit, but we still balance the value for the society.
Yes, bingo! You've done your homework then. Yes.
I got 8 in sustainability tourism.
You got very good. So it's not just about the environment. It's about ethical way of doing business, but it also has to be profitable. And it's not about tomorrow. It's about 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It's also paying our suppliers the right price. It's a little bit like fair trade because we want quality. We negotiate a good price, but also the supplier needs to survive because if it's not profitable to them, then they will disappear. Yeah? So very good. Great. You should do the presentation for me. I'm going to sit down and drink some wines now. Sustainability. So our commitment to sustainability. So, okay, the lagoons that we have here to maintain the water supply. So we collect rainwater. We don't use the water from the river because we have to irrigate also our vineyards. But we have a underground piping system. And then we use a thing called drip irrigation for our younger vines. And in case of an emergency, when it's very, very, very hot, because when we produce the Brunel, we're not allowed to water the vines. It's not allowed. But if it gets very hot, for example, I think it was in 2017 or one of the years, or 2018, then we could give the plants a little bit of water, because if we don't, the grapes become raisins. We use lightweight bottles. You know those famous bottles from Primitivo that weigh 1 kilo? That's not exactly very sustainable because it uses a lot of energy. Energy means more fossil fuels. So lightweight bottles. Our cold isaso is 360 grams, but this is not a cheap, it's a quality style, but it's like fiberglass. It's not fiberglass, but you know, as opposed to using fiberglass or plastic, it's different. But you see, it's solid, and this is 360 grams. Our classic Brunello is 550 grams. And I think a bottle of Bordeaux, a standard bottle of Bordeaux, they're about 560 grams. So this is not very important right now in Vietnam, but in Europe, certain countries are putting taxes. If the wine is under X amount of price, you will be taxed on the weight of the bottle also. So for the end consumer, it'll cost them more expensive at the end. So it's very important that we start thinking about this. Of course, we use tractors at the winery. We have to clean the tractors. When we clean the tractors, we use the biobed filtration system so it doesn't just go anywhere to filter and to clean up the fuels. That's the irrigation, so it drips, so you can control the water, like rainfall. Certification from vineyard to bottle, so everything is controlled, yeah? From the harvesting to the production to the fermentation to the bottling is all in-house. If it's all in-house, you can control the quality. And of course, the sustainable. So it's about economical, so it has to be profitable. It has to be environmental, but also ethical. You know, human rights, paying the right salaries, not abusing the workforce, etc. And all our wines have the sustainability. Well, this is a bit of an older label because we have since 2000, yes. I don't know why that one doesn't have it, but we have it, the 3E sustainable certification. Also, you have a QR code. This is actually pretty good. If you click on the QR code, it gives you the style of the wine, the technical sheet. So sometimes when you're a bit confused and the customer is asking and you don't know all the answers, you can click on the QR code and you have the information about our wines. So it's very helpful to you. Okay. So the vineyard. Look, I'm not going to get too much into all the clonal selection and all that. What is important is that you understand the story. We do a lot of work when it comes to the studying of the grapes. You know, if you know the grapes, if you understand that what you're growing, you can make a better quality product. Just like a chef. A chef is like the conductor. Yeah, he's like the composer. If you have good quality ingredients, who cooks here? Nobody cooks? Sometimes you cook? Yeah. You cook? Everyone's pointing at you and everyone's making eye contact. Yes. Pardon? Boiling eggs? But if you have a good quality egg, you can make a great egg, right? Even actually, I heard like to make an omelet is very difficult. If you can make a good omelet, it's very difficult. So, but you need good ingredients. And with good ingredients, we have great wines. This is a Sangiovese closed in Montalcino. One advantage about Banfi is that because we have a little bit more land than others, we have more choice. Yeah? If you have more choice, then you can make wines that are a little bit more consistent as well. You know, if you just rely on, think about this. If you have a garden and you are growing, I don't know, salad, yeah? Salad, yeah? And one day, this area, your salad is not looking so nice. But this area is looking very nice. You can grab the salad from that area to make your salad, right? But if you only have one piece of land and all those salads are not good, but you have to make a salad, you have no choice to take that. So that's the best way to see how we are. So we have 29 different terroirs. Terroirs is the climate, it's the soil, it's the elevation, it's everything. With more choice, you can have more different styles, you can create more wines. That's why our portfolio is fairly big, because we have from super premium to mid-range to value wines at all price points. All right, the winery. We're going to start pouring some wines here. Okay. We're going to start pouring some wines. This is a screw cap. So very simple. We do this in cork and screw cap. I like screw cap because it keeps the freshness of the wine. And it's also easy to open. So we're going to pour. Okay, thanks. Let me just pour a glass really quick for me. Here, I'll bring it. Thank you. So, this is called Larime, the wine. You have it, you have the booklet. Larime. Very nice. Wow, good quality printing here. Larime. Here, right? This is using stainless steel fermentation tanks. Stainless steel. We don't use any oak. Yeah? Only stainless steel. By using stainless steel, you only get the fruit in the wine. It's all about the fruit. It's very aromatic. So when you smell it, you'll smell a lot of fruit, a bit zestiness, citrus notes.
So what's the difference between the stainless steel and the wood?
So what wood does, wood adds more complexity to the wine, first of all. It makes the wine, here with stainless steel, you only have fruit profiles, only the fruit. With wood, you can add, especially for red wines, but even for white wine, you get maybe vanilla, a bit of smell of butter. You can get, it depends, if you leave the wine in contact with the yeast, you can get that sort of like dough, the smell of bread. So a bit more than only fruits.
Okay.
Secondary aromas you can get. When you do just stainless steel, when people do only stainless steel, they want fresh wines. They want wines that to be drunk young. You don't keep it. Stainless steel, especially, wood or oak. Oak is the wood that we use. Usually gives you notes after of like leather, tobacco, mushroom notes, earthy notes, chocolate. It evolves like that. You see, there's no longer any fruit, so it adds. And also, because wood also lets oxygen in. Oxygen adds complexity to the wine also, because the wine chain, we have to remember wine is a living product. Now people think, oh, the older the wine, the better the wine. It's not true. Some wine 99% of wine should be drunk young. There's only 1% that you can age. The Brunello is that 1%. The Cum Laude is that 1%. But most wines within 2-3 years, you drink it. That's it. So this is a 2023 vintage. It's a Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio is very traditional from Italy. It's usually grown in cooler climates in the northern part of Italy. Here we're growing in Tuscany, Mediterranean climate. So you tend to have a sort of rounder, very aromatic style of Pinot Grigio. It almost smells like a bit like lemon, white flowers with yellow flowers. How do they describe it here? Because sometimes I don't like the descriptions what they say. Fresh flora, full and appropriately acidic. Yeah, okay. I think it's more like citrusy. It is fresh. It is sweet on the nose, but on the palate it'll be dry. It has for me a zest of lemon, like a lemon zest. It's more in the citrus notes. If I think of flowers, I'm thinking about yellow flowers. You know, not red flowers. Yeah, not roses. Yellow flowers. Or white flowers. You know, that's those sort of fresher, not as deep style flowers. Dry. It's dry. It creates also, there's a nice acidity. The acidity is important. It creates a little bit of saliva, you know? So you're going to have more than one glass. Perfect by the glass, wine by the glass. You can have this without food. You know, many wines you need food. This, you can have it without food. Should be drunk cold. I had the top part, so I think I needed to flip the bottle a little bit. It's a little bit warm on my glass. But yeah, it's, you know, you could just see yourself sitting by the pool. Maybe not right now because it's so hot outside, but sitting here. You know, this is a nice lunchtime wine. Can go with spring rolls, can go with Caesar salad, can go with oysters if you want to, can go with muk, right? The dried grilled squid. Muk.
Right?
Muk. See, I can pronounce it, but the pronunciation is so bad that people look at you. What are you saying? Muk.
You lower your tone.
Muk.
Yeah, I know.
Muk. One muk.
Yeah, but short. Like,
One muk.
yeah, yeah.
So hard. Okay, so this is La Rime. La Rime. So Pinot Gris. Do you have any questions? Anything? So I'll ask you a question. Do you think it's in the screw cap? Is it? Wow, it is pretty light if you think now without the wine. But it's not cheap. You see, you can feel it. You can feel it's a no, knock it. Look at that. You can drop it. It probably let's not do it. But do you think because it's in a screw cap, it's cheap?
Cái chai nó nhẹ.
No. You know, the connotation, the idea that it's screw cap, in Europe it's hard to sell. We don't do screw cap in Europe. We do cork because people still think, oh, it's cheap wine. But it's not the case. I mean, this is still relatively a cheap wine, but nothing to do with quality. Yeah? You know, you have some top-end wines like La Roche, that do Chablis, and they are expensive wine. They use this kind of closure. I like this kind of closure because I notice, especially in Asia, when white wine doesn't sell so much, here it sells, but in the big cities, they tend to drink more red wine. It keeps the freshness of the wine longer, in my opinion. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Col di Sasso. Okay, I'll introduce it. So the Col di Sasso, turn to page 2 or page 3 or 2 is a blend of 2 grapes, Sangiovese and Cabernet Sauvignon. So I'm going to teach you guys a little trick here. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
It's going to be a magic trick. No, I'm joking. No magic trick. A little trick. Remember I said that the region will tell you what you can grow? Yeah? Well, in Tuscany, a grape that is very famous to grow is this grape. Oh, I can't. Oh. This grape. Here. Sangiovese. Remember that word, Sangiovese. It's even on the label here. Cabernet Sauvignon is a grape and Sangiovese is a grape. But the most important grape grown in Italy is Sangiovese. But the most important region in Italy that grows Sangiovese, by far, are you ready?
Yes.
The suspense. Drum roll. Cameraman's ready. Tuscany.
Oh.
So, if one day one of your friends brings a bottle of red wine from Tuscany, you have probably a 65% chance that there will be Sangiovese. And you don't even have to taste the wine or look at the wine and say, oh, there must be Sangiovese in there. And they're like, how do you know? I learned from Guillaume. Sangiovese. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. And Sangiovese is really the most. If tomorrow you decide to buy some land in Tuscany and retire with a beautiful villa, with your beautiful vineyards, with me.
One owner.
Don't, what?
One owner.
One owner. We can split the partnership if you want to. You cannot, don't grow Pinot Noir. Don't grow some other crazy grape. Grow Sangiovese. Because Sangiovese is really the grape that thrives, that really is king in Tuscany. I'm going to fly soon. All right. Yeah, really quick. Banfi likes to customize everything. When you customize, you make things better. So at Banfi, we customize the wood, the oak, everything. Now we're having a colisasso. Let's just show, put a picture of Banfi. With the castle. Yeah. All right, now we're on the colisasso. Oh, there's my glass. So now we don't smell white fruits anymore. It's red, no white fruit. Red fruits. So, when we're having a glass, these are very nice glasses, by the way. Oh, Spiegel, they're very nice. You know, a glass is nice because I like the glasses because they're light, yeah? And when you have a thin lip, yeah, it feels nicer on the lip. You know, it's not, if you have a big, like, you know those big tiger glasses, Mr. Tubman. You know those big mugs with the big lip? I love drinking beer I love beer as well. I like to drink beer too. I like to drink it in a wine glass. Try it in a wine glass next time. Even a simple Heineken in a wine glass tastes so much better than in a big mug or jug, you know? Yeah? You don't like beer?
Yeah, I don't like to.
You don't want to?
I don't like the big glass.
You don't like the big glass? Yeah, me too. I like the thin lips and all that.
Yes, and when you drunk and you cheer with your friend, and you know how
I never get drunk. That's why they have the big glass. So the thin glass is important with wine. So we hold it on the stem. We swirl it. Why do we swirl it? We swirl it because the wine starts to wake up. You know, in the bottle, there's no air. There's very little bit of air. So you imagine yourself like wine. If you have no air, then you're gonna, right? Not die right away, but you're sleeping. You're sleeping for a while. And the minute you open the bottle, the wine is going a little bit of air. And the minute you're pouring the wine, it starts breathing more and it starts opening up. That's why we swirl it, so that we're not shaking it, but we're giving more oxygen to the wine. And so then the wine opens up. And some wines will have, like this one, and this one will have many flavors, many characteristics. Like this one is be simple. But that's the idea. This is the way we want to make the wine. So, there is a finish. The finish is after you swallow, you count how long it lasts on your tongue. This is a short finish. Not very long, but it's not flat. I would say short to medium. So you count. You'll notice when you start drinking this wine, and this one has very long finish, longer finish. And you have some fruit, but that's it. There's no vanilla, there's no leather, there's maybe a little bit of black currants, cherry, a bit of plum, that's it. And maybe some light red flowers. That's it. Nothing. But this is the style. It's not supposed to be a wine that, because the more complex the wine becomes, of course, the higher the price goes. It only makes sense. You know, there's different ways to put oak wood. The wood here, you have different ways. Either the cheapest way, oak chips. So wood, they cut it, they have broken ones, blah, blah, blah. They put the oak chips inside the red wine and they leave it like that. That's the cheapest way. Then you have oak staves. So you keep the whole rectangular slab of wood and you put it in the wine, and that's a little bit more premium. And then the most premium way is the oak barrel. You put the wine in the oak barrel. But because it takes longer to mature the wine like that, so the price goes up. But the difference is the oak is not overpowering. You don't want oak to be overpowering. Oak is like salt and pepper. It helps enhance the flavors. But if you eat a dish and there's too much salt and too much pepper, you won't be able to taste the dish, right? So it's a very fine line. It's a balance. All right. Now we're going to move on to the cum laude. Cum laude is a super Tuscan. Let me pour a glass for me here. Thank you. Cum laude. This is a super Tuscan. This is a blend of 4 grapes. So here we're putting 4 grapes inside. It says Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot. Actually, that's the 2020, yeah. 2021 we changed. Cabernet, Merlot, Sangiovese, and Syrah. And this is aged for 12 months in oak. 12 months. So you have to wait 12 months like this. And then 6 more months in the bottle before you can sell the wine. So almost like 1.5 years, 2 years before you have to sell the wine. So it's a long time to be taking care of it and cradling it and maturing it. So it's a while. Cum laude is a super Tuscan. What are super Tuscans? Well, super Tuscans are wines that back in the 1970s and still today, if you, for example, want to make this wine, $2.6 million. Very affordable, very affordable. 2.6. 2.6. This wine takes 5 years to make. I'll tell you more about this wine later on. But this is, it says DOCG. When you have DOCGs, it doesn't mean it's a better wine than that. Nothing to do. But you have to follow a recipe. You have to use a specific kind of grape, which is Sangiovese, 100% Sangiovese. You have to use a certain yield, yeah, because the more fruit the plant produces, the lesser the quality. But the less fruit, the better quality, yeah? You know, that's why the price of mangoes sometimes is very cheap, and some mangoes are very expensive. Why? The expensive mango is less yield, so it's more flavorful. But you have to follow a recipe. So some producers wanted to break the rules. They did not want to follow a recipe anymore. But because they did not follow the recipe, they were only given the lowest star, the lowest category, table wine. Usually table wines are cheap wines. They're not complex wines. They're wines that you use for cooking. But customers were smelling the wine. They were tasting the wine. And they were going, wow, this is a complex wine. It is a round wine. It has spices. It has, different characteristics of leather, of cherry, of plum, of black currants, of spice, all those characteristics, and saying, we're confused. Why is it a table wine? Why is it not like this? Well, they created then the definition of Super Tuscan. Super Tuscan. So this is considered as one of our Super Tuscans. It's interesting. Yeah.
Cái này spice mà.
Cái này chát, cái này ngọt.
More peppery, right?
Nó tell about body from the wine.
The body from the, how can you tell the body from the wine?
Yeah.
Very good question. The body of the wine is also could be also based on the alcohol level.
Yeah.
So usually tends, alcohols with higher levels tend to be more fuller bodied. But the body is also the you'll see like in the glass with the alcohol, when it drips lower, you can see it's a fuller bodied wine because the alcohols are more important. It's also when we say a full bodied wine, it's a wine that's a little bit more. All right.
This one is full body, right?
Yeah, they're all full bodied. This is a medium, but the best way to describe it is if you have water. Water is light bodied. If you add a bit of syrup, like syrup, strawberry syrup or cherry syrup, and you just put a little bit of syrup inside, it'll be like medium bodied. If you put more syrup in there, it'll be full bodied. So it's even more expressive. Yeah? They're a bit more heavier style wines. So, give you another example. Like a curry is full bodied.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a good one that you can relate to. Hanoi pho, Saigon pho. Hanoi pho is light body. Hanoi pho light body, Saigon pho is heavy, full bodied. Because full bodied has more spice in there.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
The Hanoi pho is a little bit lighter, a little bit more. The broth is a bit. I find it's a little bit more cleaner. They don't use too much spice inside the pho in Hanoi as opposed to Ho Chi Minh City. Is that correct?
Yes.
Who says no? You disagree?
I disagree.
Really? You're from Hanoi?
Yes.
I think Hanoi pho is much more. It's not. Do they use as much spice as the South? Not as much spice. They don't use as much spice. I find the broth more concentrated in the South than in the North.
I think it's not more or less spice. It's more about balancing.
The balance.
Yeah.
But,
So in Hanoi it's more balancing, but it's more to the south. I think it's from the middle. They put more sugar and more spice.
okay, so we agree then. Okay, it's
The sugar different.
all right. The sugar, but when I say spice, a little bit more heavy. I find the broth in the South is much more. It's not as how do I say it? It's not as. The word's not clean, but it's not as. It's not as heavy as compared to the North. The North, I think the pho is much more. I find it lighter, at least on my palate, than the pho in the South. After it's what you like. It doesn't mean it's better in the North than better than the South, but I think in terms of style, it's different. The bread is different. You take the bread in the North and the bread in the South. The bread is a bit more in the North, tends to be more fluffy, a bit lighter in terms of. So this is the contrast I would use. Now we're going to move on to the Brunello. Even on the nose, you can identify the nose of the first Col di Sasso and the nose of the Cum Laude, the second red wine. The second red wine's more concentrated, right? It's more intense. It's more deeper. That's more full-bodied than the first wine. That's what the body is also.
Uống gì kia ngon hơn kìa.
Cái ly giữa uống giống như kiểu martini á, giống như martini rosso, giống như uống với lại soda, martini rosso với soda.
And the finish is longer. The Cum Laude is longer on the palate, the finish. It stays on your tongue for longer. So these are the reasons why some wines are cheaper and others are more expensive. It's the finish, the complexity, the more fruit aromas that you can get in the wine, the more length, as they say, adds value to the wine. Now we're going to finish up with the Brunello.
Brunello.
So Brunello is very special. This is our most important wine. This wine right here. This is a 2018.
2018.
Yeah. We're looking at 6 years already. It's 100% Sangiovese. This is the best that you can make with Sangiovese because the grape Sangiovese varies. It can be very entry level, but can be very high. This is a Brunello. You always identify Brunello as being light colored, red garnet, a little bit of a brick here. You see, this is a full-bodied one. We're at 14%, 15. So a warm year. So usually when it's higher the alcohol, you can say, oh, hot year then, hot climate. Because what makes the alcohol? Sugar. What makes sugar? The sun. Yeah?
Somebody tell me if full body you need to put it more the glucose inside the wine for the more body because the ABV by about sugar, right?
Yeah, you need to do what?
I'm just study in the social media. That's right.
Yeah, but what do you need to do? I didn't understand.
If the full body is sweet, right?
Not always sweet. This is dry. Not always sweet.
Because
But what did they
need
say
to
you had to
put
do?
in the sugar because you know the wine you put in the sugar more.
We don't put sugar.
No, sugar.
We're not
Because
allowed to put sugar in the wine.
grape-
Some
the grape
grapes have higher sugar level than other. This is very low in sugar. This is about 2 grams per liter. Per liter, not per bottle, per liter. 2 grams. So it's very low in sugar. But some wines are higher in sugar because of the grape. Like Zinfandel can be high in sugar. Or Syrah can be high in sugar. This is about 2 grams, 2.2 grams per liter. But I can see it's 2015, 2018, it was a very good vintage. But it was also a warmer vintage. But you can smell, the smell is intense. The aromas are more concentrated than the first wine or the second wine. And this is a wine that I personally think you need to accompany it with food. It's a food wine. These are food wines. These are not wines that you can just you can drink it right now, but you will appreciate it more with some food.
So what is like the best pair?
You know, there's some pairing that would not go well. Like if you do oysters and Brunello, forget it. But you tend to go for wines that, when you do the food pairing with wine, it could be anything. But what you're looking for is you're looking for, this has tannins in it. Tannins, yeah? You know when you drink tea, you have the dryness, yeah? And red wines have tannins, more than white wine. But those tannins, they need a protein. They need like a beef or chicken or whatever. So at the end, you can pair it with chicken if you want to, with a roast chicken or a steak. But even with the fish, like if it's, with Asian cuisine, like I'm half Indonesian, half French, and with Indonesian cuisine, it's all about the sauce. So if you have like a fish, like a grilled fish with sauce on it, I don't know, some spicy sauce, it could pair well with this as well. But you don't want a contrast. You're trying to find a dish that is, because this is a full-bodied wine, so the dish also has to have a bit of, it can't be like a light vinaigrette salad with lemon, that's it, and anchovies, because that's a bit light. It wouldn't, the wine would taste weird with it. So you're trying to match full-bodied wine with full-bodied dish, usually. Okay, something like, if that makes sense. But the easiest is always people say red wine and red meat, but this can go well with the pizza as well. But it can, traditionally we'll have it with a meat or game meat, lamb could be well with this. Anything with a little bit, there's a bit of acidity in this wine, so anything with fat, because the acid cuts the fat, and that's nice. So this is the Brunello. It's a wine that takes 5 years to make. 5 years. 2 years in oak. But by law, we cannot sell this wine until the 5th year. All right? I'll just show you a quick video of the estate.
Không thì ra là vàng đỏ uống với ăn với bún bò Nam Bộ là ngon nhất. Bún bò Nam Bộ
dài đúng không?
Đúng rồi.
Kiểu uống thôi.
Đúng rồi.
Còn cái kia là
Hay là khô bò
Bún bò Nam Bộ hoặc là khô mực. Khô mực nó kiểu nó xong rồi chấm tương ấy thì ngon nhất.
cái này uống là ngon nhất. Ý là uống.
At the end of the day, wine is about, it's about the lifestyle, it's about enjoying. So this is it, another video.
Đạt ơi. Đạt ơi. Đạt.
So you have more of the vineyard. For us, it's very important education, teaching people. We try and get as many people to learn about the wines, to understand the territory. And sometimes we bring people from overseas to the winery. This was 2 years ago, and then last year we did it also, but this time with bicycles this year. So we did something quite interesting with electrical bicycles, so don't worry. Yeah, sorry. What's important is about, the wine when people come here, they can eat at home if they want. But you're coming to this Imare, you're coming to this hotel for the experience. Well, this is the hardest thing in September. In 1988, 1995 Brunello, when Super Mario came out. Johnny. Domenico, he's been here to Vietnam. And that's Christina. So, hopefully I brought Italy to you today. Thank you. I see I went over. I did, no, it was okay. Salute. Thanks for your attention. I hope I did not bore you to death. Salute. Thanks.
So can we take the picture together?
Yeah, let's get a photo. Where? Should we do it? Should we do it with the background here? Who's in the castle?